Well, hello there, good people. Hi, it's Jason with Green Country Agroforestry. And you know, a lot of the time I talk about growing perennials, and especially the really big ones, the pecan trees, walnut trees, pear trees, things that take a long time to develop and start producing fruit. But that's not everything. Behind me, I've got, well, it's a mess. And I'm getting ready to convert this into a seed starting area. And just give me a minute, I'll get this cleaned up. Okay, I've got some of the junk cleared out of the way, so we're ready to start putting this space to use. You'll notice I've got my starter trays up here. These are recycled cardboard, 10-20 trays, of course the racks, and these lights that we've got here. These are some of the ones we got a couple of years ago. I think we were paying $20 a piece for those. Now they're about, I think, $25 a piece. They're just simple lights from Amazon. Some of the time, whenever you get these, they are very cheap. You get them and they just don't work. I've got one that was busted here that I'll have to either take apart and see if I can repair or just put to the side for the moment. But they come in these packages. Oh wow, they actually included instructions along with this one. Moving up in the world. Okay. And they have little hangers, which I will not use. Have a look at that. So we have the plug-in on one side, of course our electrical cord here. And then the idea is to get them up and hanging above where the seeds will start. And we'll get the cord passed through like so. Let's see, this one's coming down and connecting to this outlet, which I got plugged in here. Of course, I have all of that plugged into this power strip here, which whenever we flip the light, well, that gets us light. This one works. All right. Let's just get this. Let's get the sweet potato tray out of the way for the moment. Okay. There we go. All right. Do I need a? Yeah, let's go ahead and get the other one connected just for style. All right. So now we've got that hung up. Whenever I turn the light on, ta-da! Ooh, this one's starting to dim a little bit. I think. This is definitely a little bit darker. These are a lot brighter lights. They're smaller too than the old ones. That's interesting. Alright, so I'm going to shut up for a minute and get the rest of these lights hung up. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on over here. 10-20 trays, these cost about $1.99 each. A pack of 32 of these retail $3.49. Wire shelves somewhere in between $35 to $40. And I got these a couple of years previously. I think I got these 3 years ago, and these were more like 5 years ago. You may notice, even though they're about the same price point, whenever they're lined up pole to pole, this one's about a good inch or so wider.
So for the same amount of money, they've been getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the ones I've got for the grow tent are even smaller than that. Well, all of this stuff goes to the expenses of getting plants started. I already covered the cost of these, about $25 a piece. So this was about $45 for the 2-pack, and of course $25 for each of the individuals. I still have to set the rest of these up. But these are all expenses. They're static expenses, of course, with the racks. They'll last for next forever. The lights, they've got a lifespan. I don't know what it is, but they do definitely have a lifespan. Eventually they'll stop functioning. 10, 20 trays, probably use those for a season or two. Obviously the pots, once they go out the door, they're out the door. Whenever I have to buy potting mix because I don't have quite enough, I'll be showing you what I'm doing to get more potting mix. We're actually making it right here on the site, but that's going to be a couple months from now. I'll show you that. I got some footage of it, not enough to really do a full presentation of it. All these are expenses, and of course the space that these take up. You may not think of it as being an expense, but really it is. Whenever I've got a total of 24 plants here, right, and another 24 and another 24. Let's look at this. 24, 48, 72, I guess it is. I have 72 plants on each shelf. I can have, at the moment, up to 4 shelves. I don't have enough lights to go any further. There's quite a few plants I can get going, but while those are growing, I can't be growing anything else in this area. I can't be growing any of the plants that I'm planning on growing for my own vegetable garden in this area until I get more lights, of course. Then I'll probably get some of those in. I still have to get my tomatoes and peppers started for my own garden before too long. So all of this is actually, in a way, an expense. And if you're wondering how it is that plant nurseries come at that final number when they said this plant's going to cost you, $3.99 for a plant, well, that's how we're adding up all of the associated costs, the one-time costs with the pots that are going out the door, and of course the static costs, the infrastructure that we need to build it. I guess the electricity too is another cost, but I don't know exactly how much electricity we're going to be burning running these lights. Of course, we don't have to run them all the time. I can set this this extension on a timer and have it come on and run for 12 to 18 hours a day and then shut off, come on, run for 12 to 18 hours a day and then shut off. Really quick, let me show you something nifty about the way turning these 10, 20 trays sideways like this helps out. I can have all of these, of course these will be individual pots. We'll get to planting here in a minute. I can have all these pots stacked in here like this, and I can come out to the end and add my water here. I pour my water in here and it wicks up through the pots, sub-irrigating the plants as they grow. So it makes keeping the water levels topped off fairly easy. I've got another little trick up my sleeve that I'll show you whenever we get done planting our first couple of flats of these. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get back to work and get the next row of lights set up. Then we'll get the trays set up, and then we'll get to mixing up some potting mix and getting these cells filled out, and then we'll get to planting. Well, all right, I had to charge up the battery on the camera, so today is a new day. Sun's not quite out yet, but we do have our lights turned on in here. I've already got the 10-20 trays set up. I've already got the cardboard pots. They call them peat pots, but looking at these things, I don't think there's very much peat at all in them. They're mostly cardboard, and that's great. I actually want mostly cardboard. I don't really have any use for peat moss most of the time. I'd rather do without it entirely. I guess one of these days I'll try to get the materials together to actually make my own cardboard pots, and that'll be interesting. Kind of like making those cardboard egg holders. There's equipment that can be used to make that. I'll have to do it on a smaller scale, but I think we can work something out. All right, let's take a look and see what we got going on here. I got my junk. Let me put my coffee away. I've got my junk here from setting up the lights, and it's just the plastic bags that the lights were in. I can use these, especially when packing up bare root plants. I usually use a plastic bag around the base of them anyway, help keep the moisture in. So I can use these, and of course I got a little bit of this cardboard material here, which I can cut out for spacers whenever we're packing up and shipping plants. So all of this stuff gets recycled, and nothing goes to waste. Let me put this out of the way real quick. Woohoo! Isn't it exciting? All right. So I've got my receipt from where I bought my materials. So taxes coming up with joy. I need to get a box or something to put all those in. Okay, so right here we've got some of our very first seedlings, and we're using these restaurant trays as propagators. I've already done, look here, we'll have lavender in this one. Lavender, got oregano, and mint. And these are not necessarily peppermint. I know the seed package says peppermint, and if you see them for sale, you'll see packages that say peppermint. But peppermint's actually a hybrid between a watermint and a spearmint, and this is probably a spearmint. So I will have peppermint in the future. Just waiting for the plants to be bushy enough and the right time of year to take the cuttings. Right now, there's frost on the ground outside, so actually there's ice on the ground outside. I'm not sure if I want to try to take cuttings from my outdoor peppermint plants, which are, well, dead right now. It's the middle of winter. Now, they'll be perking up soon enough, and I'll get some peppermint going, and I can share that with you. Incidentally, same thing goes for, not oregano, same thing goes for rosemary. Speaking of rosemary, I'm going to get some started. I have rosemary growing on the south side of the house. It's a 10-year-old plant now. I've been keeping the same plant going for 10 years. It's big, it's monstrous, it's huge, and it frequently needs a haircut. Well, whenever I give it a haircut, that's an excellent opportunity to take cuttings. So I'll get some of those started for you, and here in the next couple of weeks I'll show you how we go about getting cuttings started of things like rosemary. It'll also work on lavender and a bunch of these other semi-woody herbaceous perennials. I think somebody said rosemary is a shrub. It is. It's a very low shrub. So you could either use it in your permaculture design as a perennial. I count it that way, but technically it's a low-growing shrub. All right, I'm getting this tray ready here by putting my seed starting mix in. This seed starting mix is not what I prefer to use, but it's what I have available at the moment. And it is a mixture of sand and peat moss. Preferably I'd use wood chip compost, finely sifted with a bit of sand, but I don't have enough at the moment to do that, so I make do with what I got. It's pretty simple stuff, easy enough to make. If you're making it at home, just get your peat moss, crumble it up nice and fine, throw it in a bucket, boil some water, pour the water over it, hot, boiling hot water. You're going to have little bits and pieces in there. Boiling hot water to kill the fungus gnat eggs, so you don't get fungus gnats nibbling on the roots of your plant. Did I say newts? All right, so you don't get fungus gnats nibbling on the roots of your plants. And all right, so after you've got that hot water, boiling hot water over the peat moss, let it cool to the point where you can handle it, and then squeeze the excess moisture out, and whatever volume we've got of peat moss, add about half that amount of sand, and you'll get this material here. Very loose, holds moisture well, mostly sterile, and that's great for starting cuttings. Regular soil, if it's good soil, has a lot of bacteria in it, and bacteria and cuttings don't necessarily go well together. I got some sage here. You guys want me to start some sage for you? I can start some sage. I also have rosemary. This pack of seeds is kind of old. I don't know how well they're going to do, but we'll give them a shot. All right. And wow, they are really skimping on the seed, and I can tell that these are not the best quality to begin with, so we'll just sprinkle a few in here. I've got enough space on each shelf here for 72 plants, and I went ahead and did the calculations on what the electricity cost was going to be to grow these. let's see, each one of these lights is 45 watts, so these two together is 90 watts. So there's 90, 180, double that. That's 360 watts. We'll run them from anywhere from 12 to 18 hours. Let's call it 16 hours. And that makes the cost of growing these plants, if it takes them 5 weeks, makes the cost of growing these plants about 20 cents worth of electricity per plant. 20 cents worth of electricity, 20 cents worth of paper pot. If I was going to be paying somebody to mix the potting soil, the potting mix that I'm using to grow these plants in once they're done germinating, that's about 60 cents a pot. Not counting the raw materials, of course. And then we've got our packing materials. They've got to be put into boxes and shipped. And the boxes, on the cheap end, I can find some of them for about 50 cents, but most of them are around 75. One single plant's about 76 cents for the box for one single plant. It's crazy, right? All right, so this is, I'll deal with that in a minute. All right, so I've got my seeds. And the curious thing about all of these perennials is the seed requires light. So I just want to tap it so it has soil contact, but I'm not going to try to bury them. I want them to get light. They can be like a millimeter or two under the surface. In some cases, that's fine. But they need light to germinate. And of course, they need to have a moist environment. So go ahead and mist here. All right. Contact with the soil, a little bit of mist. There we go. Image is kind of cramped back here. Anyways, put the lid on. We don't lose our moisture. And with a Sharpie, write down that this is rosemary. And that way, I'll know what's germinating if something starts to germinate. Yeah, these will be popping up and sprouting somewhere in between a week to 10 days from now. And once they've germinated, then we can transfer them over. So that's going on. That'll take us to about, what's the day, the 6th. So maybe the 16th or so. So we're right after Valentine's Day, just a little bit. We should be transferring these over here into the pots and getting them grown out for a couple weeks more before they're ready to ship. So that's exciting. You know what? I probably don't need all these lights on right now. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug those, leave these going just the way they are. And good people, that's all I got for you. If you found the video informative or entertaining, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time.